let's talk about one of the most slept on things you can do as a pre-medical student. If you've been a pre-med for any amount of time, you've heard about research, you've heard about shadowing, you've heard about volunteering. One thing that is really not spoken about enough is teaching, and here are some of the top reasons why. Number one, doctor, the actual word doctor, comes from a Latin infinitive which means to teach. The very roots of medicine are teaching. If you've been a tutor or a teacher, you have had to digest complex information and communicate it in a coherent way to people of different backgrounds and educational levels. Well, what's the core task of a doctor? You're going to be taking care of people with different levels of health literacy, different beliefs, and different backgrounds. You're going to have to take complex biomedical information and simplify it down and present it in a relatable way that empowers them to make positive change in their health. Even if you're a surgeon, you have to be able to do that to communicate the risks and benefits of different procedural options when you're doing informed consent. One of the other things that teaching trains you to do is to communicate very effectively. Some of that is in terms of content, choosing what to say and what not to say and how to say things. But another part of it is process. Learning how to speak, learning how to use different examples to communicate complex things, learning how to pause, learning how to vary your tone, learning how to non-verbally communicate in a way that's really coherent. Which brings us to the next thing. When you're teaching, whether it's one-on-one or to a classroom, you're constantly having to read the room. I can't tell you what a big deal that is at your medical school interviews, but also in medical school itself and in residency and when you're an attending physician. You're constantly having to walk into rooms with different team members, family members, patients, and get the overall vibe. What's the emotional tone here? And you have to be dynamic. You have to adapt what you're doing in response to the emotional vibes that you're picking up in the room, in response to whether or not someone seems to be understanding what you're saying. All of those things you can be practicing as a teacher. And when you have robust teaching experiences on your application, a lot of these different things, which are looked for on the med school application, have a clear source of evidence that you've been developing those things. Of the different teaching experiences, I've found people doing tutoring on their own, tutoring for their college or student success center, peer tutoring, working for a test prep organization if they did well enough on an SAT or an MCAT or GRE or something like that. Some of the most compelling candidates I've ever met have done Teach for America, where they get to go and serve the underserved as a teacher, and they're learning so many things about all of the things we just discussed while actually functioning in a service role. Do not sleep on teaching.